I bring greetings from the free state of Florida. I want to thank Senator Lee for standing for our Constitution. Sometimes that's a very lonely task when you're in Washington, D.C. nowadays. I also want to thank the Governor Cox, Attorney General Reyes. I think we've got some members of our congressional delegation, the leaders of the state legislature. It was so good to visit with all of you. You know, when Utah was first settled in 1847, the Salt Lake Valley was a cold, barren desert. The settlers were seeking religious liberty. They had a vision, and they went to work. And probably people wouldn't have predicted, but if you fast forward to today, I can say, as an objective observer, by any metric, Utah is one of the best governed, best performing states in these United States. You have a sound economy. You promote a good business environment. You stress the importance of education. You have fiscal and budgetary stability, and you have safe communities. And I think underlying the success of Utah has been a commitment to freedom. Like Florida, Utah proves that freedom works. Now, over the last few years since I've been governor, people have looked to Florida for leadership in a variety of different ways. I was recently visiting with some folks in Iowa, and people said, you know, Iowa, they're really the Florida of the Midwest with all the conservative stuff they're doing. Well, let me just tell you, maybe it's the little secret, but it might just be that Florida is the Utah of the Southeast. I'm just saying. But you should feel fortunate to live here, just as I'm fortunate to live and work in the state of Florida, because throughout our country, we're engaged in a battle to preserve the cause of liberty. Ronald Reagan once said, freedom is one generation away from extinction, that it's not passed along in the bloodstream. It must be cultivated and fought for. And I must say, for most of my life, when I would hear that quote, I thought it was a good quote, but I thought it was a little bit much. I thought it was hyperbole. We are Americans. After all, isn't freedom in our DNA? Isn't this something that just runs as a matter of course? But I think if you've looked what's happened over the last few years, I don't think anybody could have lived through this experience where we saw churches forcibly shuttered in states that allowed liquor stores and strip clubs to operate, where we saw people's freedoms come under attack like never before. Freedom is fragile. Freedom can be squandered. And so we are proud of earning the moniker of the free state of Florida, but this is not something that was preordained. And we came very close to taking a much different path. When I got elected governor in 2018, it was by 32,000 votes. Over 8 million votes had been cast in that election. It was less than 0.5% for a victory margin. And in reality, that was not out of the ordinary for Florida elections. If you look the previous decade in president elections, governor elections, 2010 all the way to 2018, all those races, 1-point margins, one direction or the other. And so I'm coming into a situation where the state is viewed as evenly balanced politically, swing state, and I was told, listen, don't rock the boat. Keep your head down. You may not want to make waves going in there because you may upset this political balance that we have in the state of Florida. And if you make some wrong moves, you'll upset it in the favor of the Democrats, and then you'll tip the state to them. And I understood that. And honestly, it was not crazy advice, but I rejected that advice. My view was I may have earned half the vote, but that entitled me to wield 100% of the executive power, and I intended to use that authority to advance conservative policies and to help my state. We would do that by governing on the basis of conviction, not putting our finger in the wind and trying to get ahead of wherever public opinion may be blowing. I said going in, and to this day it's true, we have never taken a single poll about any issue about telling me what to do as governor. I don't think you govern by polls. A leader is not captive to what a poll may say. A leader gets ahead of public opinion. A leader sets out a vision, executes the vision, and delivers results. And guess what? When you do that, people follow you and they have your back. We also understood that you could have the best ideas in the world as an executive, you can make the best decisions in the world, you can have a great policy agenda, but if you don't have a cadre of people serving in your administration who share that agenda and are going to put the interests of the state and the community ahead of whatever personal agenda or personal interest they're bringing, then none of it's going to amount to very much, because those are the folks that have to carry out the vision. And so we told people, if you're bringing anything else to this job other than what's in the best interests of the people of Florida and to satisfy the promises we made to them, then pack your bags right now. You have no place in this administration. We're not doing drama. We're not doing palace intrigue. We are focused on executing our agenda day after day, week after month, year after year. And guess what? Because we've had that focus on the purpose of being there, we've been able to accomplish more than anybody's able to accomplish in Florida history. Part of the reason we did that is because I said I'm not going to be like some of these Republicans. They get into office and they're like potted plants. They don't do anything. They wait for all this stuff to happen. Some of them don't like making decisions, because as a leader, anytime you make a decision, there's going to be people that like it, and then there's going to be some people that don't. So one way not to alienate anyone is just not to do anything. But that's not leadership. So we said, so I made the judgment, we are going on offense. I am going to be leaning into issues. I am not going to wait for issues to come to me. I'm not going to let the left define the terms of the debate. I'm not going to let the media determine the narrative. We are going to create it through our actions. And too many Republicans are worried that if you stand strong, that the left will attack you or the media will attack you. Of course they're going to attack you. If they're not attacking me, then I must not be doing my job right. Don't worry about what they say. And the final thing I said is, and Mike had mentioned, I served as a U.S. congressman for a short time. I have recovered from that experience, mind you, don't worry. And it's an important job. There's a lot of important jobs. But being executive is a little bit different because, yes, you got to be right on policy. You got to do all those things. But you got to be a leader. It really calls for exercising leadership. And to me, leadership is having the courage to make difficult decisions in the teeth of opposition and criticism. A leader must have the confidence to stand all alone if need be. And so for us, as I got into office, COVID presented that situation for us because we were in a situation, the third largest state in the country, one of the highest percentage of elderly, economy based on tourism, which we needed travel to continue. So this situation was an existential threat to our state. But I made the judgment, leaders take the bull by the horns and make the decisions for themselves. They don't subcontract out their leadership to health bureaucrats like Dr. Fauci. We made sure to do what we thought was right. And when we were doing that, a lot of those decisions were very, very lonely. No governor in this country was attacked more relentlessly during then, actually during now too, but certainly during then, than me. And I'll tell you, I had a lot of my supporters and friends that were saying, man, they are just killing you. I know you think you're doing the right thing, but you need to maybe trim your sails a little bit here because politically you may not be able to recover if they keep filleting you like this. And my view is a leader is going to put the interests of the people he represents above his own political interests. You got to be more concerned with saving the jobs of the people you represent than in protecting your own job. So I was totally willing to let the chips fall where they may, knowing that we did the right thing. And in hindsight, now people look back, and most of the people that opposed what we were doing, to have businesses open, kids in school, the whole 9 yards, they act like they supported what we did all along, but they didn't. But we stood strong, and Florida is better as a result of our leadership during that time.